All right, guys, so there is so much I wanted to cover about sickle cell. So this has turned into part two of the video. So welcome to my channel. If you're new, Fun with Mons. If you've been here before, welcome back. I am just covering some my sickle cell, growing up with sickle cell, my experience, because it is Sickle Cell Awareness Month. So I felt the need to share just to kind of build awareness. All right. So, talking a little about managing the pain. Now, again, I say this is different for everyone. Good. Now, I know if you have like SS, it's way more intense, right? So, you have to do like your regular checkups. Maybe you have to register with like a sickle cell clinic. Like, it's really more intense. But for me, growing up, as I said in the first video, like my mom was a nurse. So, in terms of managing it, she was able to kind of help me figure out how to manage it from home from the start in terms of making sure that I eat properly, making sure that I stay hydrated. One, like more than anything else, hydration is like the number one thing. You have to stay hydrated, right? Not stressed, anything like that. But what I have realized is that if it is that you have a crisis, especially like in the States, you will know that you have a crisis, but even, and you know that it's your sickle cell and all of that. But if you go to the hospital, they're not going to treat you unless they do like all their tests and things like that to make sure that it's really sickle cell and there's a crisis, right? Because the way to that they usually manage it in the hospital are through like opioids, all right, things like Percocet and really morphine, like those strong, painkillers, right? And people can get highly addicted to that, so they really have to make sure that that's why you're in the hospital, right? But for me, as I said, having SC, it was a little lighter. So all I had to do was like take painkillers, like over the counter painkillers, right? Maybe I didn't do it the best way because to be honest, sometimes I felt like I took too many just to kind of keep the pain at ease. But then I think I got immune to the pills that I usually take, right? Because growing up, I would just take Advil. Like it would work for me. Advil, ibuprofen, whatever, that works. But then someone said this to me recently. I don't think everyone knows this or it's weird, but for me, if I take a painkiller like Aleve, it amplifies my pain. I learned that the hard way, right? So for me, I stick to the ones that work. I also started on, because I think I got kind of used to Advil, it no longer worked for me. I started to take tramadol, right? And that one seems to work. If I get like a really bad crisis, I might get Percocet, or I've never gotten morphine, right? But what I can say, right, is when a crisis is coming on, so you can prepare, right? Let's look at, I remember going to like the gym. I went to like a spin class. It was my first time trying it, and I was excited and I went. Guys, I spun on that bicycle, and when I came out, I just drove myself to the hospital. Like I just went there and I was like, okay, because the pills that I take are prescribed. So I just went there and I was like, yep, I'm having a crisis or I'm about to have one. I could barely like, but I could drive and all of that stuff because you just get this feeling like a little tingling, like it's coming. So I was able to like get what I needed, went to the pharmacy, got the pills, went home, and the crisis kicked in, right? But then also, even relationship wise, with my boyfriend, um, he would have known me from high school, right? I met him on like high five. So he would have known me from high school. And he knew I had sickle cell, but he has never seen me in a crisis, right? And it's so weird, like we were friends for so many years before we were actually like, in a relationship. But he would have never seen a crisis. And even like when we started dating and stuff, if I went by him, by his house, if I felt a crisis coming on, I would leave and go home so that it affects me at home. Right? So he had never seen what it looked like. But honestly, it's a conversation that you want to have with spouses to find out if they can handle it, because some people really can't handle seeing others in pain, right? For example, if my dad, when my dad used to see me in pain, he would stay like a mile away and be like, "Are you okay? Okay." But he's not like he's afraid to like even touch, like he feels like you're gonna fall apart, right? So he actually got my boyfriend got to see me in a crisis because we're in the same space and there's no one else around. There's nowhere for me to go and hide it. So he saw me have a crisis, and yeah, I think that was very new for him, But he dealt with it very well. And then also remember, I have a 5-year old, so having a crisis and a child is very tricky, right? So he was definitely able to step in and just give me the chance to recover, and that took me a little time to recover. A crisis can last for like it can last for a few hours, it could last for a day, it could last for a week, and that's the hard part. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to work from home, because it can be challenging to be in a job and then every second you have to be taking time off or days off because you're sick, right? Even with my daughter, when I just had her, the first week I ended up with a crisis because my hand wasn't used to like the weight and having to like hold her so often, and so it triggered off a crisis for me. So I couldn't hold her for like a week and a half, because my hands had no use. And I can say it could be really bad because I could only have pain like in my elbow, and my whole body is not operating, right? So yeah, so that's one. Another part is having a chronic illness like that. It's tricky because sometimes people will genuinely not believe you that you're in pain or the level of the pain. Thank God I have a wonderful support system, because I remember growing up and having these crises, and my sister, like I remember, like even like we when we go to like certain hotels, there was a specific hotel in Jamaica where we would go as a family, and every time I went there, I got a crisis. And I don't know why, to be honest. I feel like it's something in their AC, in their air conditioning. But literally, like when I go there, I'm like, I'm not going to drink. I'll drink at the other hotels, but when I go to that one, I'm like, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do this, not going to do that, because the least things to not going in the pool for long, like nothing to trigger my crisis. But it always gets triggered regardless. Don't know why. But like my sister, like there's so many times where I'm going through a crisis, and she's there and I'll lay on her and she like rub wherever it's hurting me sometimes. And I remember one incident that really stands out, because it was a hotel and it was really bad, and then the nurse wasn't available, and I was just singing crap. Like I just laid there singing. I was just trying to find things to distract my mind from the pain. So I sat there on her lap. I was singing all kind of crap. But as soon as they lit, we left and I went to like a doctor. Right? So that was another experience. All right. So yes. So in saying all of this, even though like sickle cell has its challenges, I don't think it should ever stop anyone from going after their dreams, their goals, what they want to achieve, things like that. But what I would recommend is just like adjust your lifestyle to fit into the issues that might come up, right? So, as I said, working from home or things like that, I don't know. I might decide to go in the workplace later on. I started in the workspace, but to be honest, I've been working from home for maybe like 9 years now. Can't believe it's so long, right? So the beauty about it, based on the job I have, if I feel like I'm having a crisis, I can just not work on that day, thankfully. But that doesn't take away from what my ultimate dreams and goals are. I'm still working towards those, right? And yeah, so that's sickle cell, my experience in a nutshell. But as I said, it can be way worse because if you have like SS, I know it's a lot worse because I know sometimes it's not just the pain, but the joints swell and as I said, the organ failure. I'll do a separate video on just going through pregnancy with sickle cell. Um, with my first pregnancy, yeah, I'll talk about that in another video. All right, guys. So hopefully, as I said, this video was to bring around awareness and to help people like advocate for themselves with it for better healthcare and things like that because sometimes it genuinely gets overlooked and I've especially no, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but I've seen it being overlooked. Even in my experience, I saw it being overlooked. And yeah, you have to be able to speak up for yourself when you need to, or, ask questions if you have to, whatever it is, right? But just kind of have a better understanding of the illness and how it works. All right, guys. So remember to subscribe, follow, like, share. If you have any questions, any queries, comment below. Let me know. If you have sickle cell, tell me about it. How does it affect you? Do you have kids? Does it affect your kids? Like all of those things. I'm here for it. I love like meeting people who also have this issue just to kind of hear everyone's how it affects them because it's different for everyone to be honest, but the main things as to what happens are the same. All right, so see you guys in another video.